A mustard field, a vast expanse of yellow flowers. Numerous flowers sway in the gentle breeze. A man stands silently, watching the scene with fascinated eyes. But the name of this quiet, harmless flower was one day associated with one of the most deadly chemical weapons in history. How did the name of a common kitchen spice become the terror of the battlefield? You are watching Crumbs of Time. Hidden beneath this ordinary food lies a history that changed the world. Stay till the final bite. Subscribe for more forgotten history. Let's go. The story of mustard begins in the earliest chapters of human civilization. What we call mustard today is basically a collection of three main species: white or yellow mustard, black mustard, and brown or Indian mustard. Archaeologists have found traces of mustard seeds in clay pots from the Levant region that are about 6,000 years old. This is one of the oldest evidences of human use of mustard so far. Then, mustard gradually spread to various parts of the ancient world. Mustard seeds have been found in the tomb of the Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun. Evidence of mustard cultivation has also been found in Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro of the Indus Valley civilization. It is mentioned in ancient Sanskrit texts as sarsapa, and in Sumerian texts, mustard is described as both a medicine and a spice. But why were people so attracted to this small seed? The answer lies within it. When dry, it is almost odorless. But when the seeds break open and come into contact with water, a special chemical reaction is activated. An intense spiciness is instantly created, which adds a unique flavor to food. And that small discovery gradually changed the history of the world's cuisine. Mustard was also well known in ancient Greece. The philosopher Pythagoras praised its medicinal properties, and the physician Hippocrates used mustard poultices to treat muscle pain and various physical ailments. However, it was the Romans who gave mustard its current form as the condiment we know it today. They ground mustard seeds and mixed them with unripe grape juice, called must, to make a pungent paste. The Latin name for this mixture was mustum ardens, meaning burning must, from which the English word mustard comes. An ancient cookbook by the Roman gourmet Apicius contains a recipe for mustard that includes crushed mustard seeds, vinegar, honey, and a mixture of spices. Surprisingly, many traditional mustard recipes today follow much the same basic concept. As the Roman Empire expanded, mustard spread throughout Europe. It reached Gaul, Germania, and Britain through the hands of soldiers, traders, and farmers. Later, in the Middle Ages, France became one of the main centers of mustard production. Gradually, mustard found its place in European cuisines, to the point that it became not just a condiment, but an integral part of European food culture. Mustard was never just a spice in the ancient world. For many civilizations, it was both food and medicine. Ancient Greek and Roman physicians believed that mustard aids digestion and keeps the body warm. So it was used not only to enhance the taste of food, but also for health purposes. Mustard seeds were crushed and mixed with water or vinegar to make a paste, which was applied to the chest, back, or painful areas in the hope of reducing colds, coughs, joint pain, and muscle discomfort. It was believed at that time that mustard seeds increased blood circulation in the skin. The same seeds would be in the kitchen spice jar one day, and in the doctor's bag the next. At that time, there was no clear boundary between food and medicine. People believed that the ingredient that enhanced the taste of food could also keep the body healthy. And this dual identity made mustard an integral part of people's daily lives for more than 1,000 years. During the Middle Ages, mustard became increasingly important in European cuisine. The reason was very practical. In the European climate, mustard could be easily grown, while Oriental spices such as pepper, cinnamon, or cloves were rare and expensive. As a result, mustard became the most readily available pungent spice for the common people. Since the 9th century, mustard was cultivated and prepared in many monasteries in France. Emperor Charlemagne, under his royal directives, recommended the cultivation of various herbs and spices, including mustard, in monasteries and royal gardens. Gradually, mustard became an indispensable part of European cuisine, especially for serving with meat and heavy dishes. But with its popularity, the problem of adulteration also grew. Many merchants tried to increase their profits by mixing flour, bran, or other cheap ingredients with real mustard seeds. The situation became so serious that strict rules, quality controls, and fines were introduced for the production and sale of mustard in various cities. From that time on, mustard making began to become not just a culinary task, but a recognized profession for skilled craftsmen. If there is a mustard capital in the world, it is undoubtedly Dijon, France. This city in the Burgundy region was a famous wine-producing center. The mustard makers here used the finest vinegar and verjuice, the sour juice of unripe grapes, to create a flavor that set Dijon mustard apart from all others. By the 13th century, Dijon had become famous throughout Europe. In 1336, more than 70 gallons of mustard were reported to have been used at a royal banquet for the Duke of Burgundy, a testament to its extraordinary popularity among aristocratic society. As demand for mustard grew, a technical association of mustard makers was formed in Dijon, who controlled the quality of production. In 1777, a company was born from the joint venture of Maurice Gray and Auguste Poupon, which later became one of the most famous mustard brands in the world. Then, in 1856, Jean Dijon popularized a new recipe with a smoother and more refined flavor, using verjuice instead of vinegar. Since that invention, Dijon has become synonymous with fine mustard, not just the name of a city. In the 19th century, mustard production moved beyond the confines of a home craft and became a modern industry. The most prominent symbol of that change was England's Colmans. In 1814, Jeremiah Colman bought a small mustard business in Norwich. He created a new type of mustard with a special blend of white and brown mustard seeds. His company soon became known beyond the local market, reaching London and then the whole of Britain. In 1855, Colman's famous yellow packaging and bull's head logo were introduced, which are still one of the most recognizable food brand symbols in the world. Just a year later, in 1856, the company received a royal charter from Queen Victoria, a move that further cemented its reputation. With the Industrial Revolution, factories grew in size, with the number of employees increasing from a few hundred to over 1,000. Mustard was no longer just a homemade condiment. It became a modern food product, standardized, packaged, and sold internationally. Colman's success proved that the Industrial Revolution didn't just change factories. It also changed the way people bought, stored, and believed in food. A common kitchen spice gradually became one of the world's most recognizable brands. Now, let's move on to the darkest and most misunderstood chapter in mustard's history. In 1917, during World War I, German forces used a deadly chemical weapon on a large scale near the Belgian city of Ypres. It burned human skin, could blind eyes, and caused severe damage to the lungs. It soon became known as mustard gas. But here lies the biggest misconception. This weapon has nothing to do with the mustard plant. Its chemical name is dichlorodithyl sulfide, a sulfur-based compound that has no chemical or botanical relationship to mustard seeds. To soldiers, its smell resembled that of mustard, garlic, or horseradish, which is why it was called mustard. What's more interesting is that although it is called a gas, it is actually an oily liquid at room temperature. It became known as gas because it was dispersed into fine particles when exploded on the battlefield. The name mustard gas is misleading in two ways. It neither contains mustard, nor is it actually a gas. Yet for more than a century, the name has associated a harmless kitchen spice with one of history's most deadly weapons. Perhaps this is the greatest irony in the history of mustard. The beginning of the 20th century ushered in a new era for mustard in American cuisine. Until then, the mustard that had been popular in the United States through European immigrants had been a thick, brown Dijon-style mustard. In 1904, the R.T. French Company of Rochester, New York, introduced a new type of mustard called cream salad mustard. Made with white mustard seeds, vinegar, and turmeric, this mustard was milder, smoother, and slightly sweeter than European mustard. The turmeric gave it its bright yellow color. That year, mustard first gained widespread popularity at the St. Louis World's Fair. At the same time, the hot dog was also becoming a part of American popular culture. The two quickly became inseparable. Baseball stadiums, summer barbecues, street hot dog carts. Yellow mustard has become a familiar flavor everywhere. Today, yellow mustard is the best-selling mustard in America. It has given birth to a new food culture in America, transcending centuries-old European traditions, which are still part of the daily diet of millions of people today. Born from the same seed family, mustard has acquired completely different cultural identities in different parts of the world. In South Asia, especially in the Bengal region, mustard is not just a condiment, it is a food tradition. Mustard oil is the main cooking medium, and kasundi, made from fermented mustard seeds, is still equally popular with fish, vegetables, and various dishes. Mustard seeds are also essential in traditional spice mixtures, like panchphoron. In Germany, mustard, known as Senf, has developed its own tradition. Various types of mustard are served with sausages, pretzels, and meat, and each region has its own taste and preparation method. In East Asia, mustard takes on even more diverse forms. Japanese karashi is known for its intense pungency, while Chinese mustard is made from brown or black seeds, which can instantly create a pungent sensation in the nose and eyes. Many compare it to wasabi due to its pungency, although the two come from completely different plants. Mustard has also developed its own uses in Korean cuisine. Same seed, but different climates, food cultures, and centuries-old traditions have given mustard a new identity in every region of the world. Today, mustard is present in almost every kitchen in the world in some form, sometimes as bottled ready-made mustard, sometimes as a whole seed concoction, and sometimes as a primary source of cooking oil. Today, it is part of a multi-billion-dollar global food industry. Hundreds of varieties of mustard are produced in countries around the world, from mild to spicy, sweet to tangy, traditional to modern in countless flavors. But this vast industry began with a tiny seed. Thousands of years ago, an unknown person crushed the first mustard seed and mixed it with water. That small experiment would one day reach Egyptian tombs, Roman kitchens, medieval monasteries, Dijon craftsmen, the factories of the Industrial Revolution, and even the name of one of history's most misunderstood chemical weapons. So the next time you see a spoonful of mustard next to your plate, remember, It's not just a condiment. Hidden in each of its grains is an amazing history of more than 6,000 years of human civilization. Every meal carries more than flavor. It carries the footsteps of civilizations. What forgotten food should we uncover next? Tell us in the comments. Subscribe to Crumbs of Time, because history is still being served.